We're chopping up a new Golden Thumb winner, and with it, a new Golden Thumb giveaway. Join us in the tabletop kitchen in this episode of Little Big Thumbs. The Little Big Thumbs motto is that we are always on the lookout for games that are great fun for both little players and big players. But every now and then a game comes along that hits that sweet spot of big and little fun right on the nose. And we like to celebrate those games with the Golden Thumb Award. Today, we are very pleased to be featuring the very next Golden Thumb winner, and the name of that game is Diced Veggies from Kids Table Board Gaming. Now, the KTBG crew is actually led by Helena and Josh Cappel, and this game was co-created by two young members of their family, Jory and Rowan. The artwork for this game comes from Claire Lynn, who is a newcomer to the board gaming world, but manages to perfectly fit in with the familiar Kids Table Board Gaming visual style. Whenever a game wins the Golden Thumb Award, we'd like to give away a copy of that game to one member of our extended family watching along. Later in this video, we'll share how you can enter the giveaway, but first, let's head on down to the table and learn how to play Diced Veggies. Diced Veggies is a competitive game for 2 to 4 players and should last about 30 to 45 minutes. It's recommended for ages 6 and up. In this game, we're going to be chopping ingredients off of a tofu-sized block of dice and using those ingredients to complete recipe cards. If we complete those recipes in a particular way, we'll be able to play hype cards to score some bonus points. The game ends when a particular number of recipe cards have been completed by any one player. The rulebook suggests that number is 7, but with my kids we found we were having the most fun with 4 or 5 cards completed, which is also something that's recommended in the rulebook for younger players. To set up the game, each player is going to receive 2 recipe cards, which are kept face up on the table for all to see. Draw 3 extra recipe cards and keep those face up near the draw pile as something of a market for players to take from later in the game. Each player also receives 1 hype card, which can be kept secret. Note that if you're playing with younger players who need help with their reading skills, you can just leave out the hype cards or maybe keep them public so that they can ask for help whenever it might be needed. Each player also receives a circular chef token and then give the amazingly awesome cardboard cleaver to whichever player will be starting the game. Finally, we're going to use this cardboard frame to organize the 35 ingredient dice into a block. And at this point, we're ready to play the game. Turns of Diced Veggies involve 3 steps. First, we'll cut the dice block, then cook some recipes if we can, and finally draw a new card either from the recipe or hype decks. When we're cutting the dice block, there are a few key points to remember. The sum of the dice we cut must be equal to 10 or less. We always start cutting from the outside of the block, never from the middle of a row. And we must always leave the dice block in one connected piece. The dice we take do not need to be assigned to our recipes right away. We can keep them in a personal stash until the moment we're ready to use them. If you have more than 8 dice after a cut, keep in mind that you'll need to discard down to 8 at the end of your turn. The second step of our turn is to cook up 1 or more of the recipe cards we have with the dice that we have in our stash, if we can. Just remove the cooked dice from your playing area and flip that recipe card face down. The chef token can be used at this moment to change the color of a die. If you're playing with hype cards, this would be the time to use those, if you can fulfill their requirements. If you haven't already used your chef token, it can be spent here to change the number on one of your dice. Just remember that once a chef token is spent, it is gone until the dice block is reset. If you cook a hyped recipe, make sure to take a moment to share and enjoy the special combination that you've just made. This doesn't add anything mechanically to the game, but it's fun to see the quirky recipes we've just made, and for just a moment it feels like we're playing a silly party game like Super Fight. And our final step of the turn is to draw a new card, either from the selection of recipes or from the hype draw pile. We're only ever allowed to have 2 of each card type, so after you draw, you might need to discard a card if you have more than 2 recipe cards or more than 2 hype cards. One extra point here. If the dice block is ever missing an ingredient, a player can choose to re-roll any remaining and discarded dice back into the frame and straighten it all out before taking their cut action. This is completely an option, but honestly, it's pretty darn fun to watch someone with smaller hands try to scoop up those dozens of dice and dump them back into the ingredient pen. Players continue taking turns until one player has completed the number of recipes you've decided upon at the beginning of the game, and then each other player gets one final turn before we count up our points to determine a winner. We've ended games at the full 7 recipes that's suggested in the rulebook, and we've also tried playing with as few as 3. Try out varying that end game condition with your peeps and find out what combination leads to the most fun. And that's how to play Diced Veggies. Now, I know when we break it down like this, it might sound a little bit more involved, but once you get into the flow of the game, turns are super quick and it all feels really organic. Alright, let's throw up that transition-y business and then we'll be right back with the Golden Thumb review as well as the information on the Golden Thumb giveaway. There are so many great games out there for kids, but the ones that are equally fun for adults, those are few and far between. Diced Veggies hits the bullseye in that balance, in that it's a game that's really easy to jump into, it offers kids opportunities for learning, and it's got that scaling difficulty that's signature for KTBG that allows young players to jump into the fun with their parents and guardians. For older players, the game allows us to plan ahead and work towards comboing our recipe and hype cards. And while the strategy here isn't super deep, there's just enough to keep everyone focused on the experience and just a little bit of brain crunch as we try to make the most of our turns. I've played this game a number of times just with adults, I've left my kids with the game to play on their own, and I've played several times with varying combinations of kids and adults. The end result is a game that's equally fun for just about everyone, and it's a game that we in our family are going to be coming back to in the months and years to come. On top of the fun gameplay, the dice block and cleaver and the scooping and rolling of mass quantity of dice makes for a really unique fun factor. And all of those elements stewed together is coming out of our oven to make up the next Golden Thumb Award winner. Diced Veggies launches at Gen Con 2023 and releases direct to retail later that same month. If this seems like a game for your group of players, make sure to ask for it at your local game store. And because this game has won the Golden Thumb Award, we are very excited to be giving away a copy of Diced Veggies as part of our Golden Thumb celebration. To enter the giveaway, you'll need to be subscribed to LittleBigThumbs on YouTube, and we're going to ask you to also leave a comment in this video writing up a poem about your favorite vegetable. We'll leave the giveaway open for a few weeks and my 2 girls will read the winning poem in a future video. The winning poet will also be notified in a reply to your comment on this video, so make sure you keep your notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on becoming possibly a prize-winning poet. Thank you to Kids Table Board Gaming for sending us an early copy of Diced Veggies to review and for sponsoring our Golden Thumb giveaway. And most of all, thank you for watching this video. We'll be back again soon, and until then, whether you've got little players or big players, make sure that you keep playing games that make your thumbs go way up. Bye for now.